Lovely find, trying to hit Kemp Greer, trying to go over the top, grinding all the way underneath. It's going to be a redemption opportunity, and it's a layout goal!
And then launches the blade, that's gonna work. It's gonna land just outside. Will Chevron let him in? What was that?
Great catch. Leaves her feet to make sure of it. What a fantastic left-handed catch.
Sits into the position, underthrows, but over-corrected. Has options, overthrows, and it's rescued anyway. Sometimes things just work out.
Oh my goodness, how did he catch that? Oh, so much separation, surely that's good. Full stretch layout.
Gets the block. Boy down the line. Flissman catches the goal that wins Bristol another national title.
Getting so much joy in these small spaces. What are you supposed to do? Miraculous.
Welcome to Nottingham for the UK National Championship of Ultimate, of course, brought to you by ULTI.TV and all the wonderful people here. Thanks for tuning in as we have Bristol taking on Iceni, two teams that have cruised through the bracket. I'm Stefan Rapazzo alongside Rachel Douglas to bring you the action. Rachel, these two teams have been red hot through the competition. This sets up to be a great game.
Yeah, both sides have had an absolute stormer this weekend, looking incredibly dominant in their games. I am buzzing for this matchup. All weekend, actually, I was looking forward to seeing these women divisions game, particularly this final. We had a really hot top four. Iceni seeing off Spice in their semi. Bristol beating Smog to secure their spot here. Both of these teams, by making it to the final, have hi everyone, have secured also their spot at the World Championships next year in Limerick, Ireland, which of course will be a huge excitement for them and a source of pride. But the job is not done. They are absolutely gunning for this championship. Bristol being the defending champions, and Iceni, unfortunately, being bested by them in a semi-final last year, really want to take the trophy home again this year. But we can see there it's been a hot division. And I am so excited to see how this game goes. And coming off of the back of an unbelievable mixed final that just really took us on a roller coaster of emotions. I'm feeling primed and ready for another great show.
Yeah, this is looking the goods. Iceni had only conceded 7 points up until that semi. Spice, their strongest opposition of the day. Of course, these two met in the semi-final at London Invite not long ago. Bristol, or in the final, sorry, at London Invite. Bristol got the best of that one. All things are pointing to another cracker here, and we are only moments away now. These two teams, of course, have now qualified for the European Championship as well in the 7 and 9 seed respectively, if I got that right. No, I don't. The 4 and 10 seed respectively. Iceni in the 4 and Bristol in the 10. So they'll be seeing a whole lot more of each other potentially in Poland. But for now, it's all in these next 80 minutes for the UK Championship. And we are underway. Iceni with the disc in the whites. Deep shot straight away. Just gets ahead. Van Zyl shoots target for Gill and about a half meter in front.
Yeah, smooth start for Iceni, but not quite dialed in. The wind is strong. You'll have heard, if you've been on the stream this weekend, you'll have heard us mention it time and time again. It's gusty, and it is coming from that far side over towards the camera. So discs on that sideline can be really tricky, and that one just has a bit too much on it. Bristol looking to break to start the game. That would be a real tasty start for them.
Nice opportunity as they get going. Stewart collects, moving towards the midway mark. From the far sideline, finds center for Wolf, back to Stewart. Looks for the around, testing the mark. Durbin comes back towards center. Durbin shows the backhand. Tries to motion with the offhand before going to Payne. Payne waits for the up line, gets it, reaching forward. But it does connect into the corner and trails away. Looking for wedge, but not to be found. Second chance to hold for Iceni. The sun is back out right now.
Yeah, these conditions are, they require a constant recalibration. In this moment, there's basically no wind. This is usually an awful corner to pick the disc up in. But in this current moment, the wind has left us.
We'll give you the minute-to-minute weather updates here because based on the way the weekend's gone, you'll need them to keep up. Van Zyl floats one into the center of the field. Anybody's disc, but it's Leong who comes down with it and then sends to the end zone for the goal. Ellie Taylor chases under it, and Iceni get a hold on the first asking, albeit dirty.
Yeah, I'm a little bit obsessed with Maddie Leong. She's just come out of a really successful campaign with the U24s where she's been such a pivotal player and just phenomenal for that side. She's one of the captains this year and is just bringing so much to this. You see her being dominant, getting that sky there, securing that, and then just immediately putting that deep with a lot of touch. I feel like when Ellie Taylor started making that deep cut, there was absolutely no connection between them, but thrown to space with a nice amount of shape, and when you've got someone as speedy as Taylor chasing it down, you really can trust that the space is there and they're going to go get it. So yeah, beautiful way to kind of close out that first point, secure their hold, and just tidy up after a couple of miscues.
Leong playing like a veteran, still in the under 24 category. As you said, a great campaign over there. That team, very much the darlings of the tournament, one of the great success stories. Really putting GB Ultimate right back on the world map with such a strong performance, taking the bronze.
Yeah, we were all so proud to watch them.
And that bronze medal game, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Go watch it back if you haven't.
It's an absolute banger.
They closed that game out as well as I've seen a game closed out in a very long time. Bristol, second chance. First chance. Ono. Carla Link in the backfield. Kicks it over. That's Boyd. And turnover, but we've got a conversation. Or do we? No. Turnover conceded. There was a conversation, but not about to negate the outcome. Potter on the pickup. Leads up line to Toe. Toe looks to center. Gets in. Smith leads far sideline. Smith again from center. Throws. Not quite in. Right on the doorstep and looked off. Tsang didn't like it. There was some space. Now back in the end zone space. High stall count. Very high. Goes over top and finds the back of the end zone. Iceni break and go up 2-0 early in this contest.
Such patience from the Iceni offense. Just dumping and swinging. Not trying to force it in. Really waiting for the right option to come through. Looked like for a moment there that might be a little bit too patient. There was a kind of an early pop that could have gone in. But just perhaps playing it super safe at this early point of the game. That was a high stall count throw in the end, but again, just able to put in the work. I mean, it's a high stall count throw, but it's a smart throw. Great shape on it. Great reception.
Francis Mack on that reception. The throw very smart to avoid the poach in the lane, essentially, that came off of San Miguel and never went back to an assignment. Continued to wait, which, again, not a horrible choice. Made it very difficult. But some precision going over top of the left hand there to find the back of the end zone with a floater.
Yeah, great work. It's so easy on those high stall count throws to just sort of lose it a little bit. And sometimes people throw things that are really just quite unfriendly and hard to come down with. But to be able to think about the fact that perhaps it's a high stall count, and it just seemed like presence of mind in that moment to actually make it a good option and a catchable one, even if it's not quite what they had intended. So Great work, but that's going to be a miscommunication.
Uh-oh, Bristol, another turnover, a short field. And this could turn into an even hotter start for Iceni if they can cash in another break. Toe sends forward, and that shot for goal hits again. Iceni red hot out of the gates, 3-0. Not even 8 minutes into this one. They are on fire.
Yeah, that's exactly what you dream of when you come into these finals or into any game. You dream of being able to get a few quick breaks on the board, really assert your dominance. And Iceni are certainly doing that. They have been unbelievable this tournament. And it's just, although, yeah, Bristol are coming into this with great success as well. Having watched Iceni play yesterday, I just felt like I just wasn't sure what you can do to disrupt them. And so far, that really seems to be the case. I mean, Iceni didn't necessarily earn that D. That looked like just a total miscommunication on the Bristol side. But whether there's a couple of kind of ruffled feathers from an early break or what, lack of focus, hard to say. But Iceni certainly locked in, and Bristol needing to get themselves there a little bit more. Get something on the board, get themselves flowing.
They have crossed over at least Molly Wedge. And potentially, maybe just Molly Wedge to try and get this O-line cooking. It's been first 2 or 3 throw turnovers. Let's see if they can get it going here. Stewart with the disc to Wedge. Underneath, Boyd chisels into the disc and then straight back to Wedge. Swipes with a fake. To the far sideline, Link and Wedge exchange in the same spot. And oh, goodness gracious, just getting away with that completion to Link. Stewart. Iceni really clogging lanes. Zone defense and forcing the pass count to mount for Bristol. Link and Stewart exchange, chipping away at yards. Stewart winds up, fires up the line, Wedge. Wedge sends to the end zone and cannot get there. Oldfield the target, but defensive positioning breaks up the play.
Freya Linton, she saw that coming. She read that, I think, as the throw went up, saw that was going to go and started positioning. Really smart. Oldfield, such a desirable target in the end zone. But Linton holding that space and not letting that play occur. And that's, I suspect, going to be a strip.
It seems the most logical outcome here. I don't even think I saw much of a throwing motion.
Yeah, well, I'm surprised there's even a discussion, but maybe Smith was in the act of throwing?
There was an act of throwing, you're right.
Yeah, but I would say that was still quite significantly in her hand.
It would at minimum be a foul, if not a strip.
Yeah. Boyd perhaps arguing that the disc had been released. Hard to say. These things are such close calls, but a little discussion, a little bit of facilitation from the game advisor.
While we await the outcome, we welcome you all back. Hope that you get to watch the open and mixed finals that are already in the books. Making sure you're reminded to click that like button and subscribe. And jump in the chats. Let us know what's up, who's who, and where you're watching from. Iceni continue forward. Mac comes under and claps onto it, but that'll be negated and go back to Smith. Smith winds up and sends. Potter's under it, but 2 defenders. And Bristol take that one away. It's Henry with the D.
Yeah, slightly better read from Henry. Potter trying to get in position, but just giving up space.
Link throws, looking for Oldfield, but finds the Iceni defense. And Iceni will give it one more go. Potter on the pickup. Potter goes to center. Tsang leads. Nice strong hands there. San Miguel then sends. Smith is there, not quite in, but meters away. High release backhand. And Melvin Tang collects. And it is 4-0 Iceni. They got hot, now they're staying hot.
Yeah, I can't see what Bristol can do right now to stem the flow that is the Iceni, like, I don't know, river. They are just firing on all cylinders, and Bristol have called a timeout, I guess, to come together in an attempt to figure out what they can do to get themselves their heads in this game. Usual connections, Carla linked to Nat Oldfield is a connection as old as time and usually safe as houses, but it's just not happening for them today. So yeah, Bristol going to need to take a moment and try and collect themselves, because this is not the game that they wanted to start with, and maybe it's the game that ICD didn't even dare to dream of.
Seeking answers, anything to respond right now will do. We'll take a break in the meantime and be back with more action from the UK Nationals Women's Finals. .4-0, Coach Rabbits with the team around. They are all smiles over there in white. And I'm sure that's a pretty happy chat in that circle. On the other side, Bristol seeking answers, slow start. They've had 3 chances in a row to get their offense going. And only on 1 occasion have they even given themselves a second chance. Iceni's got the takeaways and cashed them in.
Yeah, Iceni's all vibes, all energy right now. They're obviously going to be seeking to keep that rolling, but it's still a big task ahead of them. You know, they've worked hard in these first few points and they've come out pretty flawlessly. I mean, there's been turnovers, but you know, they've put the work in and they've secured those first 4 points, giving themselves a comfy buffer, but you can't take a breath. This Bristol side have been so fierce this tournament, and in fact this season. They are the defending champions for a reason. They're going to be looking to see what they can do to take back control of their own game, really try and make sure they're controlling what they're bringing to the field, and then start to exert some pressure on Iceni.
Lincoln Wedge exchange on the pickup. Then leads forward. Morel for Hawking. Hawking moving traffic with the offhand, and then in the dump space for Link. An imperfect throw, but it does work to Boyd, and then high over everyone and taken away, but not quite. Caught by the face of Kat Johnson. Wedge now to Link. Link for Wedge into the attacking zone of the field. Wedge centers effectively. Kat Johnson again. Trying to isolate, gets Boyd. Boyd sends the backhand and knocked just in front. And another chance for Iceni to break.
Kat Johnson keeping the offensive dream alive with a scrappy face catch earlier, and then can't get her hands on that one. Bristol finding some flow there, but everything's still just feeling very under pressure. The minute-by-minute update on the weather is that the gusts are back.
They certainly are, and thank you very much for that.
which obviously will be impacting. And Iceni now with the win behind them, but still having to put a lot of control on the disc.
Booth from their own brick mark. Now fired upfield. Big meters gained here. All the way up. Back to center. Booth again. Sent deep and in to the hands. Another break goal. Iceni pouring it on.
That was such a great throw from Booth. Love the control on it, the sit on it. There were two Iceni shirts kind of sitting in that deep space. With the curve and the sit of that disc, it just meant that, you know, a little bit of communication between them. Someone's going to receive it, and that comes nicely down into their hands. Again, just everything coming up Iceni. We can see it there's really lovely form. Two options coming in. Erin McCready is going to bring that down. I'm very, very happy to do so. Just great. I don't know what to add.
Not much. Not much to add. Iceni coming out and taking every single part of this game from the get-go. They are looking the goods, and assessment right now is I don't know what Bristol can do. I mean they've got to slow down their offense. They've tried hucking. They've tried stretching the field. I mean, they're working against the zone. A little bit more movement. Some shorter throws over top, perhaps, but it is really some patience, and they got to start outrunning. The Iceni defense is moving so quickly, changing positions, not just gumming up the lanes, but so much distraction and movement. It's Bristol have got to find answers, and it more often than not starts with the legs. Low throw, nice reception for Henry. She goes into a commando roll, and we've got a call upfield. Stewart in the backfield. Wolf comes under with all sorts of pressure. Foul called. Perhaps too much pressure from Toe.
I was just thinking that Iceni really are taking this person-to-person defense seriously. They're really tight. Every single cut under pressure. Maybe a bit too much from Toe, but keeping it.
And I think that's the other thing Iceni's doing. I said their zone pressure's been great, but they're switching it up. They're playing match defense. They're showing multiple looks. They have the luxury of keeping their defense out there. And as such, they are not making it easy for Bristol to get into any type of rhythm with what they're going to see.
Yeah, and we can see the Iceni O-line on the sideline throwing it together, trying to keep their heads in it. Cat Pope, they're part of that offensive line, trying to keep their heads in the game. Obviously not getting much field time so far, but...
Molly Wedge takes the disc from the near sideline, right in front of our booth, to Durbin. Durbin goes inside, Piper to Wedge. Wedge sends deep, looking for Henry, back of the end zone, doesn't prevent. Henry gets a goal, and Bristol break onto the board.
Bristol finally getting a score. It did feel inevitable. I do think Molly Wedge, we've seen her on just about every point so far. Bristol already tightening up their lines with a few faces coming out again and again. Molly Wedge, her kind of reason of being this weekend has been to grip it and rip it. Every single time she's been on the disc, she's been looking to put it deep. Sometimes it seems just for field position, but in that instance, actually had a cutter to connect to. Gemma Henry reading that well. And yeah, finally breaking the famine and getting Bristol a point that they can try and hold on to and build from there. There's something now to build from.
Of course, you're all listeners of the weekly podcast Shot for Goal, and we did predict that this would be the final. I think at that stage I said I like the depth in Iceni's roster more, but if Bristol can keep it close and then potentially shorten the roster late game, that might be where their chance 6. They've not yet stuck to the keeping it close part and may have to shorten early, and that could, cause some burnout but before the end of the game. Let's see, but Wedge out there again, I suspect. I mean, she's in great shape after World Games campaign. That part's for sure.
Yeah, Durban also staying out. Stewart's been out there a lot. Not sure she was on last point, but certainly getting some pitch time.
Leong goes across to Taylor. Upfield to Body. Body keeps it in the center of the field. Kwan. Leong with pressure on. And Bristol gets a chance. And Molly Wedge is doing very Molly Wedge things. Sending it deep. And that one spins off the fingers. Kat Johnson went up and ever so barely missed. Iceni will take it back. Their second chance to hold. First throw works. And then sent deep, looking for Taylor. Wedge on the defense and gets up just a bit higher to smack it away.
Yeah, there's some deep defense from both sides there.
Wedge. Will she go back to what she's been doing? No. Playing the possession game. Stewart leads forward to Wolf. Good reception on the sideline. Wolf throws right away. A bit high. No second effort for Johnson. Just over the head once again.
Bristol finding their feet a little bit. We're seeing the flow developing, but still just struggling to connect that final pass. But definitely more of the building blocks there than we've seen earlier in the game.
Iceni from the goal line. Kwan gets it out to Body. High release throw. Ong and Body exchange once again. Ong sends to center. Leong puts two hands on it for a crab catch, and then Taylor comes under into the same corner. Taylor finds center. Nice catch going to ground. And the deep shot goes, looking for Roland. She's there, but not quite in. Iceni poised and hit to Kwan, making it 6-1. Bristol, oh so close to another break. But Iceni bring it all the way back for a goal.
Yeah, kudos to Iceni for keeping their foot on their throats. Very Bristol definitely trying to regain some momentum, and Iceni just absolutely snatching it back from them. Yeah, they're on the board now, but not going to give them, well, I was going to say any opportunities to break. They certainly had some opportunities to break there, but Iceni constantly doing just enough to get it back and finally working it up. A nice look there, and Phi Kwan managed to sneak away and get that continuation from Kat Rowland after a great cut deep and another really well-weighted deep shot. It does feel like Iceni have dialed in for the conditions and are just got the Midas touch today.
Can't put a foot wrong. Iceni. And just about set to pull. Again, Coach Rabetz barking final commands as the pull does.
I'm sure he takes some offense to barking commands, but certainly giving some sage advice, I'm sure.
Sage advice, barking commands.
Hyping the gals up, I don't know.
Semantics. Sent forward. Nice completion, big meters. Kantarovitz finds center, and then the dump to Link. To the far sideline, Brian Boys, and then another turn, and Iceni are going to take over again.
It felt like a little bit of a lack of concentration there, maybe both on the throw and on the catch. A lot of these throws coming out just a little bit low, you know, that's just a little bit lower than you want. You want it to be hitting people in the chest, ideally, and them having to kind of reach down knee level.
Oh, nice take just in front of the end zone, Tsang. As she spins around looking for the next completion, just gets one amidst some contact. Felicia Tsang has it, but is on the ground.
Yeah, a bit unfortunate. She's going for the catch, and I think Boyd's going for the boot, I guess, like trying to give it a little kick away, kind of foot block. The order of events is perhaps a little bit harder to unwind, though, as we can see here on the replay. If you're coming from behind foot first, I think that's a fair foul call.
Yes, absolutely. There's got to be a way clearer path to the disc to pull off a kick block.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's allowed even in football, so a little bit discussion here, though, I suppose. We can see clearly the order of contact, but on the field, I think they've resolved. That is an uncontested foul, accepted foul from Boyd.
And they will play on with a short field for Bristol.
In the pause, I'll just give a shout out to that really lovely deep look from Han Booth again. Some beautiful throws coming out.
Lenton gets again. Meters out, looks towards center, all sorts of traffic. And a seemingly worthy bid. Brian Boys goes through, but does have to go through contact to get there and accept the foul.
Yeah, a bit of confusion between the Iceni players, but the contact from Brian Booth means they get that opportunity.
Sent up, floating, and taken down for another goal. Emma Healy on this one. And Iceni are pouring it on, one away from half, with only 1 point scathed against.
Yeah, this is brutal. Coming out of the mixed final, it was such a roller coaster. We were absolutely gunning for a really tight and competitive game here, and so far we've just seen dominance from Iceni, giving Bristol so little, and Bristol just not able to make anything of what they are getting. 1 point on the board to Iceni 7. And you can see, I mean, just look at the walk. This is why the psychology of this sport and these team events is so important. But like, you can see the energy sapping out of Bristol as they see their dream getting further and further away. They wanted that gold again this year, and it's just looking like a real far out opportunity now.
Yeah, you talk about, mental strength in Ultimate. You usually think about, being able to win the tense points, the Galaxy points, the Universe points, the tight nail-biter matches. But there's a lot to be said for being able to play when you go into a hole like this, which seems like it is already game over. We're just 30 minutes into the game. This is where a lot of your mental resilience comes into play to kind of forget the score. Just play this 1 point to the best of your ability. It sounds easy, but the amount of dropped heads and reduced morale makes it very difficult to break the funk.
Yeah, absolutely. But Bristol need to shake it off and just play how they want to play.
Link with the disc amidst a zone, a bunch of pop passing going on. Durbin goes up the line. This is good. Oldfield and Stewart exchanging. Now Durbin open in the backfield as Iceni melt in to match defense. Stewart fakes the backhand, then gives it to Oldfield. A little bit of pressure on the coverage there, but not enough to break it up. And 1-2ing down the field, and on the last throw, it hooks Stewart's thumb and goes the wrong way when Oldfield seemed to be open for the score.
Oh, that was such great flow from Bristol. It's exactly what we talked about. They were playing their game, finding the opportunities, and just couldn't connect on that last pass. Stewart, who's been so solid this whole tournament, will just be devastated on that one.
Lenton gets a big gainer to the midfield way. And then a bit of contact there. Smith not happy about it as Oldfield tries to take the space and steps into some contact.
Yeah, tough Hannah Smith. That's a total blindside for her. She has no idea someone's coming in. She's not prepared. And of course, in those situations, the onus is on the defense. You got to make sure you're not initiating contact, and unfortunately, Oldfield fell foul of it.
Smith sends deep immediately and hits for another goal. Lenton on the receiving end, relentless. Are Iceni as they take half in 33 minutes, 8-1.
Yeah, Hannah, you don't like me angry, Smith. She'll turn that anger, that rage into productive gains. Decisive pass. Iceni just.
Maybe they should like her angry. That pass was beautiful.
I mean, yeah, well.
I jest.
For Bristol, I'm sure that's not that you don't rile her up. It'll only get worse for you, I think. Great cut. Great work from Iceni. What can we say?
I mean, that Bristol have got to figure something out to play 1 point at a time. This championship is, I mean, Iceni's got to feel it already at the halftime. They've got to see their way through, but if they just maintain right now, they could trade out right now. And they are sitting pretty because of a dominant first half. We're going to take a break here for the halftime. We'll come back with second half action and see if these tides might be turned.
Always on the move? You can keep up to date with ULTI.TV on all of our social media channels. Like, follow, subscribe, share us with a friend, or send us a message just to say hey. Thank you for supporting us in our mission to grow Ultimate everywhere.
To 1. Iceni all over Bristol as Jamie Rebetz imparts his wisdom onto the line. It seems as though Iceni are very switched on. Thanks for joining us here on ULTI.TV. I'm Stefan Rapazzo, bringing you the action with Rachel Douglas. Rachel, it is just, as we said, there's not much more to say except wow, Iceni, and goodness, Bristol.
Yeah, Iceni currently in a league of their own. I could not have guessed in a million years that this is how this would go. Iceni have been so strong all weekend, but this is usually conditions under which Bristol thrive. They've just not been able to connect so far, but I'm sure they're going to be bringing something different into the second half.
From the get-go,
that might be on me. That might be on me.
The curse of the commentator is the last thing they need right now.
Yeah, I spoke that into being, but I'm sure from this point.
And Booth to pick up and put it into play. Turned by Tsang to the far sideline. Melvin Tang centralizes for Tsang. Upfield throw sticks into the hands of Healy, and then once more for meters to Tsang. Felicia Tsang Now to Healy. Healy trying to work around the mark. Little shoulder shimmy to Melvin Tsang. Tsang to Healy. Iceni chip closer to that end zone. A break opportunity to be availed if they cross the line. They've had a few of those already. Booth centers again wisely. Melvin Tsang. Less than 5 away, and there's a turn and a chance for Bristol. Durbin wants to play quick and does. Some contact, but a great catch by Stewart, who looks back to center. Then up the line, takes the shot to Henry. Stewart now turns the corner. Stewart to Oldfield. And up high, where Grandma keeps the peanut butter for Link. Link to man, in for a goal. Stewart there, and Bristol score.
Finally able to get that connection all the way into the end zone. We'd been teased by it in previous points, in previous possessions, you know, that Bristol was starting to piece things together. We were starting to see that flow from them, but falling short right on that last pass. But this time, man, just finding the option there. And again, really nice shape on that. Great reception from Stewart. A little bit awkward over her head, but just wanting it badly enough. Bristol on the board with 2. It's a long way to climb, but it's one step at a time. You know, like you've got to be scoring those points.
Had he eaten an elephant, one bite at a time.
Doing the first part of the job, Bristol. And as we said, they're bringing something new. They've got a second offensive point, and that's great.
They've
More
got,
of this.
you know, cliche to say, you have to start somewhere. Small wins can amount to so much more. As improbable as that seems and feels, enough of those small wins can turn the tides. I mean, we saw it in a lesser degree in the mixed game, where Reading found their way back into the game and then Deep Space took it back away. Those were swings of 3 points. A much bigger prospect here as Pope goes to Leong and back to Pope again. Iceni moved to the far sideline, centering to Pope and Leong. Through the middle. Throw from Ong. Upfield, Ong collects again on the upline cut, sends forward. Great catch there. Amy Van Zyl does it in style. And that's 9-2. Iceni strike again.
Yeah, really lovely flowing offense from Iceni. Bristol coming out in that zone, trying to disrupt, but Iceni just have that flowing handler movement around the back. They're so quick. You see Cat Pope in the middle being the sort of linchpin of the handler set there, getting the disc from one side and moving it so swiftly over to the other, constantly changing the angles that the Bristol zone is trying to defend from and just getting them slightly off kilter. Eventually finding some forward movement down that far sideline to Gill, and then again forward until the streaking form in the end zone. Van Zyl for the score. Both Hannah and Maddie Leong out on the field that time, just to correct. Gave a lot of shout out to Maddie Leong earlier in the game. Actually, it was Hannah Leong with that lovely throw. So I just want to set the record straight that Maddie Leong is still an excellent player, and we appreciate her. But that earlier kudos.
We do have 2 contributing Leongs out there.
Yeah, 2 earlier kudos was due to Hannah Leong. So yeah, just phenomenal across the board.
And the pull goes overhead, unable to be taken from the sky. Boyd picks up and looks upfield. Link Connects with Oldfield up the line to take midfield mark and back to Link. Link centers to Boyd. And Boyd gets around the mark. Brian Boys. Hogging. Seeks center and gets it. Oldfield and Boyd exchange once more. Oldfield gets a gainer. Man. Pops one back. Link, careful with her toes. Then sends up line for Oldfield. Into the red zone go Bristol. And Oldfield and Link happy to exchange once more. Into the middle. Fist man. And Bristol score 2 holds in as many askings. And it is much better than their first half performance already, doubling their amounted score and winning the second half currently 2-1.
Yeah. That felt like Bristol. You know, the first half hasn't felt like Bristol, but really finding their flow there. We know that Bristol love to move the disc quickly. They're happy to do those quick passes. We can see here that lovely inside shot from Oldfield, and then that quick continuation to man. Bristol love to keep the disc moving quickly, and actually where they've got a bit bogged down before has really given Iceni the opportunity for the defense to really tighten up and close in and stifle them. But by keeping it moving, by keeping that flow going, they were able just to manage finding their footing that little bit more, and a return to form in that point for Bristol. So yeah, hoping that we see more of that from them, and that the D-line can come out and do an absolute job here to see if we can tighten this game up a bit.
Wedge set to pull. Bristol desperate to find themselves a first break and the potential to start a run. But Iceni's been so hard to stop. Ong and Quan exchange, and then Van Zyl and Ong exchange. Van Zyl pops back to Ong. And once again, Van Zyl quick to Quan. Pope on the sideline. Van Zyl upline cut. Centered to Taylor. Quan on the move. Iceni moving at a scintillating pace. Back to Pope. Fakes the backhand. Quan again from the center. Taylor the target. She thought she had backup. And that is a turn. And Bristol get a break chance. Wedge threatened the huck immediately, but did not give it. Turns the other way and finds Morel. Morel waits. Veronite comes back, and then we've got a foul called. It looks like an accepted foul. So we'll go back. Our night take restarts the possession and gets as again. She asked Durbin to leave, but she comes right back into the lane. Amelia Durbin goes around, takes Morel. Wedge asked to bid and has to, but can't quite get the hand there. Big backhand fake by Ong as Iceni take back possession. Quan gets the disc. Quan around low. Cat Pope slow to hit the ground, but safely as such. Van Zyl fires. Shot for goal, eaten up and taken away. Wedge is there to break it up.
Yeah, a bit too far for Quan, not quite far enough for Roland. Wedge there just to mess things up. Bristol with a chance, but that's not gonna do it. Bobbles out the hand, out the sideline. But Bristol really showing some life here in this point.
See if they can come away with some goods for their efforts. Van Zyl bobbles but does collect. Pope crosses but wasn't seen. Now Ong with the disc. Underneath for Taylor. Now look back to center. Ong stretches around for Kwon. And Kwon goes around again. Taylor, far sideline. Centralized. Kwon fakes the forehand. Then gives it very low. Van Zyl makes a nice catch there to keep possession. Wedge shoots the lane, misses, and that opens up the freedom in the corner for Iceni to score once more.
This second half feels like a different game, though. You mentioned, I mean, we're now 4 points in, and it's been holds all the way through. Bristol really putting up a big fight for Iceni to even get that hold. Not able to do much with it. We see that Cat Pope going to ground, keeps that one going. And then, oh yeah, a bit of miscommunication there. Fikwa maybe not realizing that she should be going for that, and Molly Wedge is not going to let it get past her. But Iceni able to kind of keep the pressure high. Again, another big defensive effort from Wedge. And Hanton securing that hold for Iceni. But if we just forget about the first half, this feels like a game. And I'm sure that that's what Bristol's working to, right? They're trying to expel any negative memories and just kind of, you know, 0-0. Let's start again and get going and try and assert our own dominance as much as possible. I mean, at a minimum, Bristol are going to want to see out this game playing in a way that they're proud of. I'm certain they'll be frustrated with the first half, that they weren't able to show up in the way that they will have intended, in the way they'll have planned for their whole season. But there's still a lot of game time left, and you want to play yourself proud and make sure that you leave everything on the field, even if it's not going to be your day. But who's to say? You know, it's a massive hill to climb. Iceni still looking really, really solid. But yeah, Bristol going to give it everything.
One of the great shows of a great player, and as such a great team, is to have a short memory. Whether by success or failure, play the next point the same way. That's your best. Bristol have, you're right, been better in this second half. That throw gets away, Fisk man, but there is a foul being called, I believe, on the throw in the mark. No, it looks like it is upfield.
Yeah, it's on the cut. Oldfield, I think, feeling a bit frustrated and a bit of contact, but Tsang, I think, was just holding her line. Oldfield wanted to take a wider angle, but Tsang had that outside line and from my perspective was just holding space. But maybe there's a bit more jostling in the position, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I think that's been retracted, no foul call. You can see here Oldfield wanting to take that outside line, but you know, you can't run through the defense, I'm afraid.
I mean, I think if the throw was a little bit closer, there's something to be said about being able to, you know, get your shoulder in front or your hand outstretched, but
I think it's just great defensive positioning, you know, forcing them to take a line they don't want to take. It's a tighter line, it makes the throw awkward. The throw wasn't positioned for that. You know, that's just good defense, and it's annoying, but it's not in contravention of the rules.
Handbooth goes straight backwards. Lenton there. Center to Healy, back to Lenton. And again to Healy. Iceni resetting in the backfields. Waiting for something where Handbooth now exchanges and takes over. Lenton. From the far sideline. Bounces off the pivot foot, throws into traffic and gets away with another completion. Handbooth now, open in the flank. Throws to center. Small gainer to Lenton. Waits for a dance move and gets that from Tsang. And back to Booth. Iceni showing patience here. Not throwing to anything with risk. McGreedy gets it and sends forward. Now the throw for goal and caught as well. Everything going Iceni's way. Freya Lenton brings home another goal.
Every step flawless from Iceni. It just feels like I was watching their handler movement, thinking how smooth it is, how well they anticipate each other. You know, even when they're under pressure from a tight Bristol force and mark, they're just getting the resets. They're finding that space. And then I was reflecting on how well the cutters are using the space on the field, how they make space for each other, and then passes like that. You know, even when under pressure, they're really just making sure, putting in the effort. Perhaps a little bit closer, that throw having a little bit more shape, not kind of going out in front, but Linton bringing it down. It just feels like even when it's not kind of going exactly how they want, they're putting in the effort and they've got the skills and the kind of intention to come down with it. And it's just all the way across the field. Everyone is doing their job flawlessly. They're executing the fundamentals with absolute precision. And yeah, it's just, I mean, it's a beauty.
Is indeed fundamentals, but they're making plays there too. That was not an easy catch. Toes throw a little bit floaty. The defense just about there.
Yeah.
You know, centimeters away from getting a touch and still being able to make the play, get the hand on it. It's just really phenomenal how well things are going for Iceni.
Yeah, and that was another break. So we said there was a different story in the second half, but that one is back with Iceni extending their lead.
Hawking throws high, taken down by Henry. Shoveled to Stewart. And she'll take Hawking, open in the zone cup. Stewart and Hawking happy to exchange. And stall count mounting, nowhere to go but backwards. Payne gets a look. That's Martha Payne before it goes to the sideline for Morel. Hawking across the end zone line and Morel. Stewart with a touch. Hawking chisels forward. Payne from the near sideline, back through Hawking, going towards center. Payne again. Stewart. And that one just doesn't get any rotation out of the hand.
Iceni smart, strategic thought process to put on his own. Just when Bristol were finding some movement, they've changed the look, they've changed the request. Bristol not able to find space, but they have an answering D of their own.
Laurel Piper gets in front. The huck comes hot. A big blade. It came down hot and just a bit too far in front for Piper to make a play.
Yeah, almost to completion, but I do think we've seen a lot of Bristol playing for field position this weekend. They know this is a non-desirable corner to have the disc in. And the wind, once again, the update is it's picking up, it's gusty, it's not very consistent.
Smith finds center. And that one is foot blocked. The throw from Toe gets a foot on it. And now Bristol with a short field. Payne, Ellie, and Stewart exchange twice. Stewart allows the mark to encroach. Throws a little bit behind, but Henry collects. Henry to Piper. Piper to Martha Payne. Looking for the connection fraternally, and it's caught off a bounce by Stewart. Stewart, mere meters out and thrown in for the goal. Bristol back on the board. 4-11, work to do, but signs of life.
Yeah, scrappy, but it got the job done. Good effort from Bristol. Not able to get through that zone. Giving it over to Iceni, but then getting straight onto defense and earning it back. And yeah, just chipping away at it, working it down there. Good kind of scrappy work. It's not always going to be pretty. Stewart just somehow keeping possession of what looked like a disc that was going to go to ground. Bristol. Oh,
There was a hand block. I thought the foot got up.
No, hand block. Great anticipation.
And this bobbler, I think she thought she was in. Scrappy indeed. But if it takes some scrappiness to get back in it, I'm sure Bristol have no problem continuing that.
Yeah, I think it's going to take everything they've got. They're going to have to throw the kitchen sink at this. If you can do it quickly, smoothly, cleanly, great. But I suspect Iceni aren't going to give you the opportunity for that. So whatever gets the job done, that's what Bristol's going to be working towards. Trying to keep control of their game, but got to try and do something to get under the skin of this otherwise unrattled Iceni.
Maddie Leong and Kwan have been exchanging to start off this possession. It's Leong back to Pope now. Pope to Kwan. And now Maddie Leong. Charging under Gill. Turns back to center. Maddie Leong all alone. At Pope. Through the handlers. Kwan gets a little bit of space towards the sideline. Back to Leong. 2 hands on it. And now body goes to Pope. A little bit of space as the defense adjusts moving forward. Leong sends deep. Wedge in good position to cut off the run. And Bristol will take over in their own end zone.
Yeah, slightly awkward look. Hannah Leong in the end zone, but that was quite an awkward angle to attack from, just having to sort of track the disc from underneath it. Yes, Mickael also in the end zone, maybe in a better position to actually attack that, but maybe unsure of whether to do so with Hannah Leong there. Oh, Maddie Leong getting up and getting that D.
Takes a piece and now a short field Iceni. Body has to use the body to corral that one. Now Kwan has space. High and take it for Taylor. 12-4, 3 away from a championship are Iceni.
Great effort from the Bristol D-line again. That was a hold for Iceni. You know, they're having to really work for it. Bristol getting a bit more disruptive, getting opportunities, but still just don't have an answer for this Iceni juggernaut that's putting on a show for us today. Durban unfortunately just tips that, can't quite get the hand on it, and Leong ready. Little bobble from body, but secures it, and quickly Phi Kwan receives that and sees that we already with an open shot straight into the end zone. That's in her hands for mere moments, and that's gone. Perfect execution again.
Easy to like this game as an Iceni fan. Like I see in the chat. Maybe a bit more difficult as a Bristol fan, but surely easy to like the coverage and the fact that we can bring this to you. So make sure you do your part. Hit that like button. Make sure you're a subscriber. And if you'd like more, you can join as a YouTube member or as a member on Patreon. And follow along for all our updates and action that we bring you all season long, all over the world. Carla Link winds up the backhand, sends deep. The chase is on. One touch, but not enough. Ellie Payne gets a hand there, but defense draped all over by Lenton.
Oh, Linton was dialed into that from the start. She knew it was going. You could hear the call from the sideline. Hucker, as soon as Link got it. Link, who's usually such an expansive thrower, really hasn't been kind of opening up that side of her game so far today. Bristol obviously trying to bring something a little bit different.
Layout to keep the first throw alive there. Out of the end zone for Healy. And a low throw does get through to Tsang. Chang continues, knee slide, keeps that one alive. And then Booth leads to Healy. Healy looks up and shoots. There is a white shirt under, but a collision into the back of Oldfield, who held her defensive ground.
Yeah, Oldfield does have a great read on some of these slightly more swirly discs. That one, it had a nice shape to it, but maybe just sitting a little bit too high, giving too much of an opportunity for defense to get in position there.
And Iceni need to be a little bit more crisp on that one. Potential dangerous play as I watch the replay. Carla Link coming out of her own end for Boyd. Right back into Link with a nice J cut. And then over to Kantarovitz. Sorry, that's Man. To Link and Boyd. Link chases under, looks, it was in power position. 2 swipes at it, but both were fakes. Now Boyd from the dump space finds Payne. Payne kicks out to Link. Link sends, but not enough on it. The wind does its part, and Chang finishes the job with the smackdown.
Yeah, see Carla Link really getting into gear, making plays around the disc, constantly getting it back. You can see she's so lethal with her cuts in the handler space, trying to open up some more expansive options for Bristol. Not quite going to be the right call that time.
Injury substitution. Andrews out, Hawking in for Bristol. Not sure I saw a reciprocating substitution for Iceni. Potter picks up the disc. Leads forward for Lenton. Lenton lets loose. Melvin Tang the target and takes it high. Fakes the backhand. Puts it into Potter. Potter sights the back of the end zone. McCready makes a play. Does it at ground strips and just falls away. I thought it was another. Here's another look. That really looked like she just let go after it was caught, but that is great spirit. And a knock away there gives Iceni impeccable field position. They'll start from the goal line, albeit on the corner cone. Great pursuit by Selena Chang to take that one away. Potter to start the point. And I think a travel called there on Potter. She was not with her foot on the cone.
Yeah, well, I think she wasn't even sort of near the sideline, sort of at least a full step in. Sort of saw her set up, saw Link take a look down, and the body language of calling a travel before a hand signal even came.
All right, we got some more wind coming. Getting gusty at this very moment. Potter will need to be at her crispest for the very first throw, and the wind does win that battle. Lulu Boyd with the disc, low throw. Link collects, and it's fair to have some wonder whether that did stay up. Initial thoughts, Rachel?
I thought it was up. I think the disc was flying low but flat, and I think it was the catch that made that end dip down, and I think quickly agreed on field.
Yeah. As they get going again, Boyd to Link, and Link sends deep looking for Payne. She had eyes on it first, but Booth maintained her advantage in position.
I'm really enjoying Booth this game. Really great throws, smart on D, gets the disc moving.
Another huck for position essentially there.
Yeah, perhaps a little bit of tiredness now creeping in. Some of this decision making from Iceni that was so flawless earlier on just feels that little bit pressured, a little bit forced now. Time for Bristol to chip away at them.
And
or not.
Bristol with a throwaway, and Tsang goes and overshoots for McCready. And a handful of turnovers now on this point. 2 handfuls indeed, that's 10.
McCready having to throw herself around in the end zone, trying to bring some of these quite ambitious looks in. Not happening both times. Iceni certainly seemed to have sort of slipped in terms of their concentration. The question is, can Bristol take advantage of it? They gave it back a moment ago.
Hawking gets the backup. This man there keeps it alive after bouncing past, and what a toe drag and a one-hand layout to boot. Payne keeps that one now. Centered for Boyd and into the middle. The congestion causes the turn, and Iceni will take over once more.
Yeah, just a bit rushed. Gusts are coming in. Everyone's tired. Both sides need to focus up.
And another turnover, and this wind is wreaking havoc right now. The shot looking for Link, and that one bounces off the hands as she stood over the goal line. 69 minutes into this one. That lead looking more comfortable as these points get longer in the inclement wind conditions. Healy from the corner does spot Potter, who keeps her feet in. Potter wanted the up line, but will wait. Maybe second chance. No, center, the better option, as it was indeed. Toe, back to Potter and Booth. Potter wants it back as she's open and gets it. And Booth tries to get out of the way to open up a lane. Melvin Tsang gives in quickly, shoots to the corner, to the sideline rather, for Booth. Booth, high for Potter, well tracked. Now Healy. Healy, there's a bid from Payne, and that causes an injury. Quick to grab the right ankle. And Zyle quick to help out, but lets the player take the assessment first. Back to her feet is Kristen Toe after giving the ankle a twirl and testing it.
Yeah, a lot of love on this Iceni side. Teammates rushing to their aid, but Toe seems to just needed a moment.
Potter to the sideline for Booth. Back to Potter towards center. Now Lenton. Melvin Tsang. Potter and Booth. Swinging one side or the other, about 10 meters away. Working the red zone now. Lenton shovels forward for Potter. And back to Lenton. Thought about one hand and wisely took two. Potter to Healy. Booth was open but not taken. And instead, it's Toe. Healy bumps her way into a possession and in for the goal. Toe hits the ground. 13 on the board. Iceni up 9 and only 2 away from championship victory.
That possession felt like a return to form for Iceni. The point was just such a melee of scrappiness and sloppiness up until then, from both sides. And it just felt like Iceni really were able to center themselves back into what they want to do, how they started this game, that patience, that certainty of options. You know, they're not trying to force it. They're making sure every pass and securing that point. And again, true to form, it was a break.
And we do have a timeout on the field. Iceni and Bristol wondering how they're going to take this one to the tail end. Less than 8 minutes to go. We'll be back to bring you that action. And for now, we'll just take a quick short break. To 4, Iceni. Just all over Bristol. They are seeing the finish line. Bristol getting a word from Alice Beeching there, but trying to keep those heads up. Finish with class. Might be the best they can do. I think time is definitely working against them as much as the scoreline at this stage.
Yeah. Lots to do, not much time to do it. Don't know if the will's there, really. Bristol really brought a lot more to the second half, but they need miracles, I think, to really be getting themselves back into this game, and I'm afraid they haven't been forthcoming. Iceni maybe dipping in form a bit in that last point. We saw a lot of turns. They really weren't able to close it out. Earlier on, under one of their earlier turns on Bristol, and similarly Bristol weren't able to put it away despite coming quite close a couple of times. But as we said, that final possession really felt like the Iceni that we saw start this game with such force, and now I think that's how they're going to look to close it out.
And that pull comes all the way back nearly to where it was thrown from. Just beyond the brick mark. Once all said and done, Link picks up for Wedge. Wedge fires and overshoots for Wolf. And Iceni will take over with a whole field in front of them.
Yeah, Wedge has been looking for those big shots all game and maybe just hasn't quite dialed in for the slightly shorter shots. Been playing a lot for field position, been putting some deep shots out, but had that field advantage, but needed a lot more focus and intention on that pass. It's going to sail past anyone and gift it straight back to Iceni.
And a deep shot is improbably picked up. Mickael going to ground, gets it with one hand. Potter has it shoveled in to the body. Then Van Zyl. Van Zyl pops over top. Potter now Van Zyl again. Van Zyl pulls the trigger. Wedge breaks up that's Link. Sorry, breaks up the play.
Yeah, great read from Link, seeing the play progressing, seeing what the next option was going to be, and just absolutely denying that.
Link jacks it up the line. It does come in, so at least they will get the benefit of the field position.
Yeah, what you can see Wedge actually turn around. Link seemed to be like, oh, apologizing, and Wedge says, no, it's all right, like, it's in. This is where we're defending from now. That Huck and D has been a really relevant strategy so far in this tournament, but
that throw gets meters up the near sideline. Toe. Finds center for Potter. Potter high, great take for Van Zyl. Up line cut for Potter, small space, feeds it in. And tries to get around, but that one hits ground. Bristol take over. Foul called. Let's slow down.
So there was a stoppage in the stack before that dump pass went, but I think the resolution is going to say that there was no, oh, so yeah, a pick called in the stack. A fair few seconds before that dump pass went, but that dump pass wasn't completed and it didn't seem to have been impacted by that pick call. Yeah, so they're indicating the turnover stands, but everyone's just getting back in the correct position for the pick to be resolved.
Bristol to pick up. Hawking with the initiating duties. Underneath comes Piper, near sideline, straight back to Hawking. Hawking looks to step into one, puts it away. Waits for the up line. Link wrestles forward against San Miguel to take the upliner. Great focus by Piper in traffic. Throws to Wedge, big pickup. Wedge from about 3 meters out goes back to Hawking. Hawking swipes the forehand, turns it to a fake, now back to Link. Link turns, shoots, Wedge is there for a goal, and Bristol put one more on. 5-13, but only a minute and a half remain till we get our final score cap.
Finding some flow, finding some spaces. Nice offensive work from Bristol. Still felt quite sort of under pressure from the Iceni defense, but finding their dump where they needed it, and ultimately Wedge just securing that one in the corner. Maybe unmarked, not super clear, but if you're going to leave someone unmarked on the field, I probably wouldn't leave Wedge. Oh yeah, Toe just going to catch up, maybe just a little bit of blown coverage or a switch or something. You can hear the boost from the Bristol sideline. I do think, every point means something. The positivity of feeling like you've, put a couple on the board and you've corrected some form and you're finding your flow is so important. They'll
Come away from this game with some feel-goods to remember, to take home.
Yeah, they'll be disappointed with the general show. They know that this isn't how they want to kind of compete, and they can bring it to Iceni. We've seen them come out on top in a bunch of their matchups. Iceni are on great form this weekend, but Bristol have been too, and there we hear the hooter going.
And this is a big one. It's for the national championship, but there's season less to play, and as much as there may not be some feel-goods, there's going to be a whole bunch of fuel that they're going to get from this game, reasons to train harder and play better. That one thrown away with immediacy, picked up by Wedge, sent out to the corner. Payne, and then Wedge, and that one swatted away by Quan, and Iceni pick up once more. Liang to Quan, over to the far sideline to Taylor, and then meters gained. Up that line, body collapses into a catch, and then Taylor comes screaming down the middle. Quan to Leong, across to the far sideline. Ong goes back to Liang. A small adjustment, but Taylor comes and bails out the throw. Body one-hands it, then sends forward, but just beyond the target of Alice Hanton.
Yeah, that one a bit too much sauce. Maybe just getting eyes spinning with the end zone. Want to see it done, but unfortunately, just a bit of touch. There's quite a lot of space for Hanton to run into. Body has that throw in her, but just a little bit rushed in that instance.
And that one knocked away right in the lane. Hanton jumps in and breaks up the Durban throw super short field here. Liang on the pickup with about 3 meters from the sideline. She wisely finds center with the first throw. Phi Quan turns back in low throw that body can't get down to. Durbin again from the corner. She looks for center, gets a high catch as a bit of a bailout. Awcock takes it high. And now So goes to the middle. Varnaite then airs it out. Wedge is under it. Takes the shoulder bump and runs under for the collection. Durbin leads forward. Wedge again. Thought about going to the corner. Turned away. Second chance. Now waiting for Durbin to dance and floats one. And that gets knocked away. Iceni chance to pick up. As you get another look at that lefty backhand over the shoulder and what happens to that in these conditions. Centered, Quan can't hit Leong. Short field for Bristol.
Tiredness creeping in on the execution. Quan just trying to get that around, but just sort of a high release, not putting much behind it, not dialed in.
Durbin goes back. And then the next throw. Varnite can't connect. It's body and Iceni going the other way. Quan. Body. Quan to Taylor. Oh, and Quan, one shot at it, gets the left hand to it, but can't squeeze on it. And Bristol pick up. Varnaite and a low throw again. Kat Johnson sees it hit the ground. Phi Quan. And the next throw to Leong goes down as it comes from Roland. And we're starting to get a turnover count mounting into the double digits on this point. Varnaite goes to middle, great concentration. So keeps it alive. Wedge looking for the corner, and Quan busts up the play for another turnover.
The intensity is there on defense for both sides, it seems, but we just need that same energy and intention on offense. Every single throw, they're tired, they're throwing to tired legs, the wind is gusting. You gotta make sure.
Taylor underneath Hanton. Goes back to center. That one floated dangerously again. Phi Quan fights for position and takes it, then blasts it deep. Connection for Hanton. Waits for the troops to arrive. Taylor goes high and over the head of Quan. It spins off her thumb. And Bristol have a whole field in front of them once again.
Oh, felt like Iceni had dialed it in, locked into their offensive look. That cut from Hanton was great. The throw from Quan was great. And then just that final pass.
Amelia Durbin from the goal line, and that's intercepted by Quan. Quan finds the open receiver. Iceni score 14. Guess what? We're playing to 15.
My goodness. Yeah, this has felt like a war of attrition these last few points. A very different story to earlier in the game, even though it's still Iceni who seems to be closing out the majority of them. Bristol bringing a lot more, but yeah, it's just
tough to harp on the negatives. 31 turnovers in the last 3 points. 27 of those on 2 of those 3 if you take away the middle. That's a lot.
Yeah.
And those have been long points, extended points. Bristol showing the best fight they've shown all game in this late quarters, despite having 2 breaks against in the second half. Still have, you know, we said scrappy when they kind of started getting a couple of their holds. They've stayed scrappy on offense and defense, and their scrappiness has muddled up some of the proficiency that we saw out of Iceni at the start, and it has turned into a scrap out there, a 2-yard or a two-team scrapyard battle.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier that, you know, Nationals is the peak of the UK season, but both these teams looking forward to the European Championships and then to Worlds next year. For the European Championships, you know, there's a lot they can learn from this. Iceni being so clinical to start, but the turn there, but everyone seems to have stopped moving.
Well, there was a pick called maybe prior to the throw. Did it affect is likely what the discussion is out there.
Yeah, I think no effect, turnover. Yeah, Iceni, I think, will have lessons they can take away from this as well. The win is obviously going to be something that they're really excited about, but going into Euros, seeded 4th, ranked 4th, they're going to need to have the legs to play hard games over 3 days, not just 2 days, if they want to compete at the top end of that tournament. So a lot for them to take away about how to keep the cleanness as all the way through from these last couple points.
Great catch by Tsang as we get another big gust. And Iceni can seal the deal if they can see this one in, but on that throw it goes to ground and Bristol will go again. Lulu Boyd on the pickup. Finds Link. Link pivots into the mark and then gets around. Finding man. Into the backfield. Andrews for Link. Link to Boyd. Boyd winds up. Does not give the big one. Keeps it simple. Fist man. Nice catch by Payne. As they enter the attacking half, waits for Link, and you see that wobble. Even on a short, decisive backhand, the wind is wreaking havoc. And that one somehow goes through the bidding defender. Chipped forward evermore. Bristol will score one more. At least Fist man, the recipient. 6 on the board. But Iceni still only need 1 to go.
I want to give a shout out to Flisman. I think despite the kind of confusion and mess we've often seen on the Bristol side, I feel like Fliss has been making really clear cuts and has come up with some really great grabs throughout quite a lot of traffic and challenge, but consistently throughout this game and throughout this tournament. She's been providing options where they've been slim on the ground and doing a great job of bringing down discs. You see there the anticipation. She committed to that cut nice and early, earned that separation, and was rewarded with a Bristol score, a much needed Bristol score. 14-6 on the precipice, but holding on for dear life.
I mean, it's easy now, mathematically. 8 more breaks.
Beautiful.
To tie it.
Yeah, and I was going to say, and then I was just crunching the numbers, and actually a 9th if they want to win the thing.
Considering they have not broken yet, it seems like a big ask. But I have seen crazier things happen. Well, maybe, have I seen crazier things happen? I've seen equally crazy things happen. If this happened, my mind would be absolutely blown.
Yeah, and we'd all be missing our trains home, I think. But I'm here for it. If they want to bring that energy and bring some
tides.
chaos, ruin Hill's evening and his planning, fine.
Into play. Leong goes forward. Van Zyl. Ong throws high, floater, but Pope stays under and takes it high. Matty Leong. The around throw to Ong. Ong motions with the offhand and then takes the dump space for Leong. Good chase, and that is going to be a strip. An accepted strip as Hannah Leong will reinitiate. Fakes the shovel, goes the other way to Ong. Underneath, Pope leans into the forehand, unable to distribute, going back to Ong. Ong around to Leong. Leong leads forward. That's Hannah Leong. And looking for Van Zyl, a miss there. Bristol try and pick up and get going. And the low throw can't be handled by Piper. Pick up for Pope. Pope back. Ong trying to sight in the middle. Taylor for Pope. Iceni get the job done. A big margin victory, 15-6 to become the UK national champions for 2025.
Great work from Iceni, keeping it pretty clean at the end there. Maybe not as clean as they would have liked, but tidying things up a little bit, and yeah, putting that one in nice and safely into the hands of Kat Pope. Kat Pope, who was the captain last year, will be so glad to see Iceni back on top. As I said, Maddie Leong captaining this year, really working so well with the coaching team. So much success for Iceni in this national campaign. And now, what a bolster, what a great platform to then move on into their European phase of this season. Really exciting for Iceni. Commiserations to Bristol. We know that's not what they wanted to bring today. We know they've got a lot more in them than we saw on the field. But as you said, it's a learning point. It's a shame, but it's not the end. There's lots more of this season left to go. And both of these teams have rightly won their position next year at the World Championships in Limerick Island.
Taking a look at the game stats, 8 for 21, just more than 1/3. Still 14 break chances for Bristol, unable to capitalize on any. Only one clean hold for Iceni. They were not clinical as much as they seem, but they didn't need to be with the amount of breaks. Going out to a 5-0 lead, they did, they still played hard and very well and clinical throughout the rest of the game, but had this little bit of a chance to sit back on their laurels just a bit, absorb, a second effort from Bristol, but never enough to bring them back into this game. Some resistance shown, but wow, a great tournament for Iceni as you take a look at their path through it there, unscathed, undefeated, and no more than 9 points scored against them. That was in the semi and only 6 here in the final.
Yeah, absolutely dominant. No one got into double digits. And I'm actually surprised to see that stat. I felt like it felt a lot cleaner for Iceni earlier in the game. I felt like we were seeing cleaner holds, but I guess that's maybe just the energy they're bringing. But either way, yeah, putting those points away with a bit of a sort of ruthless energy. All credit to them. A real showing here of what a women's ultimate team can do here in the UK. Bristol definitely are able to meet them at that level on a different day, perhaps.
And as you said, seasons continue. The big prize for both of these teams, their seasons will be extended to next year even, both going to the World Championships as well. So congratulations are deserved for all out there for getting into this game and being able to compete on the world stage for 2026.
Yeah, and as we saw from that graphic, Spice taking the 3rd spot, the bronze medal up against Smog in the 3-4. Not got a guaranteed world spot, but putting themselves in great position. Oftentimes these things shake loose and another bid comes available. So Spice really well positioned and a really hard-won victory for them with their bronze. So congratulations to that growing program, which is also going from strength to strength.
Well, what a wonderful weekend here in Nottingham. Big shouts out to our team, the ULTI.TV crew, working very hard. A couple of new faces, or, well, some new bodies. Tom Kittle on the camera did a wonderful job. Ali Thomas, not new to ULTI.TV, but maybe a new role behind the camera, doing an exceptional job as well. Chips Chipsinson, Nicholas Ho, holding it down. Emma Whitaker, and first-time production, Mr. Rob Henderson, doing a wonderful job on the ones and twos and keeping the crew alive. A big shout out to the commentary team, Benji Reese, the lead, the infinite well of ultimate knowledge as always. A pleasure to work alongside him as always. Rachel Douglas, it's been a pleasure. We actually got to do a few games together this time, including this one. We get to cap things off, but thank you so much to Rachel and to the whole team for all those wonderful people, for all you viewers, and for all the wonderful support you bring us. I've been Stefan Rapazzo. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll catch you all next time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, ultimate.
ULTI.TV.